In this CBT nugget, we're going to talk about planning auditing in Exchange 2013. And I got to tell you, this is one of, well, I got to tell you, it's one of my favorite features. It sounds weird. Auditing? Really? How can that be like interesting? Because this is actually one of the most helpful things in troubleshooting and also in compliancy management. I mean, it really is helpful, and this is a wonderful feature. I think you're really going to like it. Now, there is a graphical solution to this, and I will show it to you briefly, but most of our work here is going to be done with PowerShell, and I think you're going to like it. This concept isn't too bad, but what it does is pretty cool. So our agenda for this video is pretty straightforward on this. We're going to take a look at planning for audit logging. First of all, we got to figure out what this really is. What are we auditing? Why are we auditing it? Where is it being audited? How can I control it? And can I get any reports out of this? And what is there anything useful this can be used for? So the first place we want to start is answering all those questions. Then I want to show you specifically working with the administrator audit log. You're going to like this quite a bit. Well, you're going to like it quite a bit, and then it's going to feel a little bit like Big Brother over your shoulder, but it's all for a good thing. So, we'll look at the administrator audit logging, how to set it up, how to configure it, all of the commandlets for it, which will make the mailbox auditing after that pretty simple. Yeah, mailbox audit logging. And see, we can actually log individual mailboxes as well. Like I said, I think you're really going to like this idea. So tell you what, let's go ahead and get started with planning for audit logging. So let's start off with some concepts and a couple of things that'll make it even more interesting. First of all, audit. There's a T that needs to get crossed there. Planning for audit logging. So here's the idea. Keep this in mind, and it probably is at the forefront of your mind because this gets drilled into you when you start working with Exchange. Ever since Exchange 2007, all of the configuration, all of the management is done using commandlets. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be typing the commandlets in. Any Exchange graphical or a graphical designed to work with Exchange will call these commandlets. And you know commandlets have parameters, and parameters have arguments that can be on them. Well, here's the thing. Since everything is actually done using commandlets, whether you're doing it graphically or not, wouldn't it be cool if Exchange would just record all of that? Now think about this for a second. If it records all of that, and let's say a log, and let's say we call it an audit log. Yeah, you know how I'm getting there with this. If Exchange records all of this, then we actually have an amazing resource. First of all, it's a great resource for compliancy. I mean, let's face it, you certainly know the story just like I do. You know, you and I both have heard, about rogue admins, right? Rogue admins, they go out and they do something naughty that they're not supposed to be doing. And quite honestly, I don't want to say Exchange admins in particular, but any kind of messaging admin probably has more power than what we would really like them to have. And if you're a rogue admin, you could get to some corporate, confidential information, and that's just not cool. Well, it's not that, that's always going to be able to be preventable, but what we can do is record when it happens. So think of this from a compliancy aspect. So all right, compliancy is at least as close as I can get to spelling it, pretty close. So from compliancy and for future auditing and auditors, it's pretty cool to be able to have everything that was done in Exchange being recorded. Now, this is kind of cool. It also gives you this weird feeling of having Big Brother over your shoulder. I know, but think of it from another perspective. Not just compliancy, but how about this? How about troubleshooting? You know as well as I do that sometimes things go wrong, and what's the first question you ask yourself? What's changed? So the reason we ask ourselves that question all the time is because things change. And if something got changed by someone, wouldn't it be a lot quicker for me to troubleshoot knowing exactly what got changed? Now I know, you go talk to one of the other admins for Exchange and they'll say, yeah, I changed this. I forgot what I typed in, or I typed something in and hit enter, so I'm really not too sure what happened, but now it's all, broke. Well, now you can go through and find out exactly what they did. And you can then be much quicker at your troubleshooting. See, this is actually a really good tool. So what is it that we're going to audit? Well, we audit everything that you do. Let's just make it real easy. And I'm going to draw a box here. And this box represents an audit log. And what we're going to do is we're going to, any user or administrator that makes changes to Exchange. So any changes to Exchange are going to get audited. And here's what's going to get audited. And I'll show this to you so you can see it, but basically the commandlet, the parameters, and what got typed in. Well, that's pretty cool. That's very cool. Now, how long do we audit this for? Well, here's the cool part. Well, maybe not. This isn't cool. This is just me saying it's cool. But we audit things for 90 days. This is referred to as the administrator audit logging, and we do this for 90 days by default, which means you can change it. You can make it longer. You can make it shorter. In fact, I just want to kind of warn you, you could set this to 0. Now, if you set it to 0, that means no audit logging. That's not a great idea, but this also brings up another issue. You shouldn't set this to 0, and you shouldn't let anybody else set it to 0. So you're going to want to make sure that the only people who can mess with these settings are highly trusted folks. So, and I'll give you the permissions here for a second. They either have to be in organization management, pretty big place to be, or records management, which is where all the compliancy stuff is done. So they're probably not going to, you're not just going to throw any admin into those particular role groups. So, but by default, we do it 90 days. And like I said, you can extend this. You can define who's going to be logged, but something in the planning phase is what to log. Now, let me just tell you, right now, by default, star gets logged. What that means is all commandlets are going to get logged. All commandlets. Well, I'm kind of fibbing to you. No, I shouldn't fib, right? I'm kind of fibbing to you. All the commandlets get logged that make changes. Let me give you an example of commandlets that don't get logged because they don't really do anything. Think about this. Anything with get dash in it. That doesn't change anything. So there's no reason to log anybody who's just looking for stuff. Also, that goes along with the search commandlet. Search dash commandlets don't get logged either because they don't cause any effect or change. Now I do want to tell you that also there's one other one that doesn't get logged, and that's test dash commandlets, and they don't get logged because you're just testing stuff and retrieving information, but you can turn this one on. And one of the reasons is if somebody's troubleshooting something, I actually want to know about it. I mean, think about it from that perspective. Why are you troubleshooting this? Why are you testing my DAG replication, for instance? Well, I think we had a problem. Okay, wait a minute. You think we had a problem where? In other words, it helps you see when other people are troubleshooting things. Maybe you can help out, that kind of stuff, and get an idea of what's going on. So you can log the test ones. That's something else that you can turn on. Now keep in mind that all of the Exchange stuff is getting logged. Now, if you're an admin and you're doing something through like Active Directory users and computers, well, that's Active Directory. That's not getting logged into this audit log. This is just for the Exchange stuff. But it's really cool that you can get all of this. Something else that you can get that I think is just outstanding is we can do mailbox audit logging. So here's a mailbox. Mailbox. Let's say somebody is complaining about, I don't know what's going on. I keep losing emails or something like that. You can turn on auditing for their mailbox. Yes, you can. So now you can actually, instead of, sometimes it's kind of one of those things where you're like, oh, what's that guy talking about? He's probably hitting the delete key. Well, let's turn on some auditing on this and let's take a look and let's maybe see if something is going in there and running some commands that's removing or changing or doing something, or if somebody else that we weren't aware of has permissions to that mailbox that might be deleting or moving or changing something in there. Now, that mailbox auditing is not enabled by default. And you would have to enable that if you wanted to. And we'll talk a little bit more about that one here towards the end. The admin audit log is turned on by default. Now, you can completely disable this as well if you want. It's enabled by default, and it should be left on. I mean, this is actually very important and useful. But I'll show you, you can disable it and turn it off entirely. Also, you can control what commandlets do get audited. If you decide that you only want to audit the transport commandlets, you can do that as well. I am a big fan of auditing that. turning that on. And also, I want to show you what the audits, what what the audit log looks like. And I also want to show you a feature that I like to turn on that it makes it a little bit more verbose. It doesn't take up a lot more space. Oh, space. Oh, did you want to know where these are stored? Because here in a minute we're going to start going through and I'm going to show you how to set. Do you want to know where this is stored? Well, guess what? You're not going to know. They put it in one of the system mailboxes, one of the super secret hidden ones. So no, you can't go find it. You can't go find the mailbox that it's in. You can't. No. Keep your hands off. And you really don't need to. Think about this for a minute. If you're auditing, especially administrative auditing, you don't want an administrator to go in and be able to remove things. I mean, that's the whole point. Is we're auditing. This could be very well, again, for compliancy reasons, not just troubleshooting. So we don't want people making changes and getting rid of stuff. Well, I tell you what, this is not a complicated concept, and there's a lot of cool ways to work with this. So what do you say that we get started? And let me show you where you could, where you get the permissions to do the audit logging and making changes to the audit logging. And let me show you the graphicals that are available. They gave you an easier way to run reports on this. Oh yeah, then I'll actually show you how to set this up and work with it in PowerShell. So let's get started. So first of all, let me show you how you would get permissions to be able to modify the audit log settings and work with the audit logs, that kind of stuff. It's over here underneath permissions, and I'm actually going to take you in. So here's the role group. Here's one of them. One of them is organization management. That's the big deal one that you're probably a member of. And if you want somebody else to be able to do it, work with it, maybe an auditor as an example, records management is the other one. That already has the management role assigned. And let me show you what I mean. If you remember back a few videos, we talked about RBAC. Sorry to bring that up. But let me go in here, and I'm going to go into organization management and just show you. Look at the roles down here. And you'll see this role called audit logs. That's where they get the permission from. And, of course, right now, I'm an administrator of it, so we'll got that. And down here at records management, you can go in here and see that audit logs, along with a lot of the other message compliancy stuff like the transport rules and all of that are in here as well. So you could have a separate auditor or something that's part of records management that could also have these capabilities. Now, once you have permissions for your records management, like I said, you got to be a little bit careful. You only want highly trusted people with permissions to this because, like I said, it can be turned off. So you can look at the auditing reports. Now, I want to take you over to compliancy management and kind of show you this. There's a few things in here that we haven't talked about yet. You know, in this course, we've already talked about things like DLP. We'll talk a little bit more about DLP, retention policies and tags and journaling. We haven't talked about in-place discovery and hold, and there's more I want to talk about DLP. But here's the thing, auditing. Now, we can run reports on a lot of things. Some of it is in-place e-discovery and hold, which if you look down here at the report list, you're going to start to see, oh look, in-place discovery and hold. So when we talk about those topics, I'll remind you of these reports. But let me show you some of the reports that are here. And I'm actually not going to run them from here because I like to do this. I'm sorry for using the word actually over and over again. I like to do this with PowerShell. I can run a non-owner mailbox access report. This is something that we'll talk about when we get to the mailbox logging for regular users. Here's an administrator role group report. What this does is let you know if there's been changes made to your role groups. That's pretty good. We've got some in-place discovery and litigation hold reports that we'll be able to run, which I'll remind you of when we talk about it. And we can then look at the audit, the administrator audit logs. We can view them, and we can export them. We can also export the mailbox audit logs. And this is really simple. You just go in and you say, hey, give me the start date, end date, search, and you can get a list and you take a look at it. You can also export it. Now, check this out. When you export it, you choose a recipient that it goes to. Now, it's funny, but when I show you the commandlets, we have two different commandlets that a lot of folks get confused, that do very similar things. One runs a report for you, and one will export the report In other words, it'll send it to a recipient for you. And so I'll show you that in just a second. But like I said, I like to do this through PowerShell. So what do you say here that we close down this here ECP and we open this up a little exchange management shell, and we'll take a look at the commandlets and start working with, well, the administrator's audit log. So here we sit in front of our handy dandy little exchange management shell. And let me just show you how to find these commandlets. So let's see here. Let's do get help. And I'm going to do star and admin audit. Or you can just do audit, you know, that kind of thing. And you'll see a list of commandlets here. This will pretty much narrow it down. Not many commandlets. So, I mean, this isn't going to be that complicated. Let me just kind of show you, give you a brief definition of these as we go through here, and then I'll show you how these work. Now, get admin audit log config will get you the current configuration for the audit logs, the administrative log, and I'm going to show you that here in just a second. Now, this kind of works with, well, not kind of, it does, set admin audit log, which will let you change that configuration. And there's a couple of things in here that I like to change, one in particular. Now, here's where it gets a little interesting. Take a guess what you think write admin audit log is. And I'm going to show this to you as well. This is, I really like this. You can write stuff yourself to the audit log. In other words, you can put in a comment or something like that and say, this event occurred, so I did this, and it goes into the audit log. It's your own way of documenting. I like to put this into scripts that I have that are running, you know, exchange management tasks, and I'll put this into the script and make sure that when the script runs, it's writing to the admin audit log. It's really easy to use. Now, here's the two, though, that people get confused. New admin audit log search. Wow, that's a lot to say. Or search admin audit log. Here's the difference. Search admin audit log will let you, well, search and display the admin log. You can put in a start date and an end date, and it'll get you all the entries, and it'll display it to the screen. I really like this a lot because what I'm going to do is, and I'll show you an example of this, I'm going to display it to the screen, get the information I want, and then I'm going to use PowerShell to generate the report. I get so many much more options that way. I can convert it to an HTML, you know, a web report. I can put it into a CSV, whatever I want to do. This one, new admin audit search, what that does is it does the same thing as search admin audit, except you put in who you want to send it to. So a recipient, just like I showed you with the graphical. Kind of cool? Well, I'll tell you what, let's clear the screen and let's try out these. We're going to do them all. Let's start off with getting a look at get admin audit log config. So let's take a look at the current configuration of the log file. And this is its default configuration. First of all, admin audit log enabled, true. So this is the default. It's turned on by default. And like I said, you could use the set admin audit log config, and you can go in and you could change this. You could turn it off. Not recommended. Now, log level. This is one of the ones I want to show you that I want to change. Right now, log level is none, and I'll show you what the difference will be in here in just a second. Remember I was saying that the test dash commandlets aren't enabled for logging? Well, you could change that. Look, it's set to false right now. Tell you what, let's go ahead and do that. Let's set that. Let's see. So set admin audit logging, and oh, you know what I love about tab completion is I don't really have to remember how things are spelled. Look, I just keep hitting tab, admin audit log enabled, and I'm going to say true. Oops. It's a Boolean in a PowerShell. Oh, I can't believe I just did that. True. Awesome. Now, I do want to point something out to you. Notice the warning that I have. The command completed successfully, but no settings of admin audit log settings have been modified. Well, here's the thing. And this is kind of a little bit strange. Let's take a look at it again. Get admin audit log config. Oh, wait a minute. That's what. Of course it hasn't changed. I changed the wrong thing. You should have told me that. Admin audit log enabled true. Yeah, that wasn't what I was changing. Okay, maybe I do need to look at what I was doing. See, that's this one. Of course it wasn't changed. It's this one, test commandlet logging, that I wanted to change. Oh, stop me when I do something stupid like that. There we go. Test commandlet logging enabled. I'm going to set that to true. Now, take a look at the message. This is the warning message I expected us to be looking at. Take a look. The admin auto log configuration change you specified could take up to 60 minutes to take effect. Now, that may seem like, wow, that takes forever. It's really not that, you set this, you're going to configure this and walk away from it. Now, if you need this to occur immediately, close the Exchange Management Shell and reopen it, and it'll occur immediately. In other words, just close it and reopen it, and it'll happen immediately. If you don't, it's going to take up to 60 minutes. So let's go back to look at get that admin audit log. Get that admin audit log config, and let's see what we have. So now you'll see that I've got the test commandlets are now enabled, so they will now get logged. Now here's the interesting thing. Admin audit log commandlets right now is a star. That means all the commandlets except for get and search, the get dash and the search dash, are being logged. If you wanted to, you could change that and specify maybe star transport star or something like that if you just wanted the transport commandlets logged. I like to leave it at star. I also want you to note that you can control what parameters are going to be logged as well. Now, when you run a commandlet, you're using parameters with it. We're going to log both the commandlet you run and the parameters you ran. And so I like to leave this as star 2 as well. Now, you can specifically exclude some things. This becomes useful when you start seeing that there are commandlets that are running, that get run all the time just because of the nature of maybe a script or something that goes off, and you don't need to see those. You know what those are, so you want to exclude those specifically. Now, take a look here. Admin audit log age limit. This is the 90 days. So you got to do this in days, and so you can increase this or decrease it. Remember what I said earlier, if you change it to 0, away, bye-bye goes your log. And so that's the primary settings for this. It's recording all the settings. What I want you to take notice of, because there's one other thing I want to change. We changed this one, which I usually do in real life. I change that one. And the other thing I change is log level. And the reason I change log level is because right now it's going to audit or record the commandlet and the parameters, but it's not going to record the changes that were made. In other words, use a commandlet, a parameter, and an argument. It's not recording those arguments, those changes. So what I want is I want those. So I'm going to change this to a log level of verbose. And what you'll do is you'll see that it'll show you the old information and the new information. How cool is that for troubleshooting? It shows you the old information and the new information. So when somebody says, I ran this command and I don't know what it changed, now you know exactly what the original was and what the new change was. So this is one of my big faves. Did I just say big faves? I did. Admin audit log config, and it's log level, and it's verbose. And again, I get the cute little warning, and I just like to check it real quick just to make sure that those changes have been made. I know they have. It told me it did. I just like to look. See, there it is, log level verbose. And so for me right now, this log, the administrative audit logging is all set up. Now what we want to do is let me clear the screen, and we'll start to take a look at the log. So let's start to take a look at, where am I typing? Oh, here we go. Search admin. Search admin audit log. Now this commandlet all by itself with no additional parameters on it, it's going to just spew out the log. And my log's pretty short right now. As a matter of fact, if you wanted to see, you can use measure from PowerShell, and right now I've got 13 in there. So you can see I've only been running this for about a day on my VMs. So let's go back to search here and run it. Let me just show you what a log entry kind of looks like. It's a little bit bizarre when you're first looking at it. A new log entry starts with its run space ID, tells you what got object modified. So take a look, and if you were watching one of the previous videos, this was actually logging what I was doing. So look, let's see, Microsoft Exchange Security Group's help desk is being modified. What commandlet was run against it? Remove role group member. I think I was removing a user at this time. I was removing like Bob or something. So here's the commandlet that got ran. And what were parameters did it use? Yep, because I used identity, which on that tells what role group it is, and then what member I wanted removed from that. So those are the two parameters. Here's the interesting piece. If you don't have verbose turned on, this is going to be blank. Modified properties is what it's called. And you're going to see me use this in a second. Modified properties tells you what got changed. And if it had an old state other than blank, it'll have the old whatever it was, and then it'll have the new thing that it was changed to. Now, if you don't turn on verbose, you won't get this filled in. I love this. This helps so much with troubleshooting. So I turn on verbose. Caller is who's the person that did this? Did it? Oh, I scrolled by too fast. Let's see here. Did it succeed? True or false? So you can see if it was failing or not, or if there was an error. When was it run? What date and time? And on what server was it executed? Oh, that's just wonderful information. Now, there's an interesting thing. I'm going to show you some things that I like to do with this, but let me just kind of show you. Now, if you know PowerShell, you know you can limit this out to whatever properties you want to see. And I'm going to do that here for you in a second because I have a couple of ways I like to run this. Right now, you could just take this whole thing and dump it out to whatever you want. So, you know, using PowerShell, and this is one of the reasons why I don't really need the graphical, because I can export this to XML, I can export it to CSV, I can convert this to an HTML document. Whatever it is I want, I can do. Now, I'm probably going to filter out some of the properties first, and that's what I'm going to show you to do. But before I do that, I want to show you that this commandlet is itself very powerful, and you can do wonderful things with it. So take a look, and you might want to spend a few minutes in here. Yeah, taking a look at the help file. Now, I'm not going to run the full help file, which would be the most helpful. I just want you to kind of see parts of the syntax here, because you can see real quick that this is going to let you do like, you can have an end date, and down here somewhere is a start date. There's a start date. So you can have it run for a time period. You can have it basically search for specific commandlets. You know, let me know if this was run. Let me know if that was run. Or there's even specific parameters in here somewhere. Oh, there it is. You can check to see if something, you know, specific commandlets in, were they successful? Were they not successful? It gives you a lot of control right here. In other words, if you're used to using PowerShell and then piping to like where object for all that, use the filter furthest to the left, and this has got a lot of leftmost filtering that you can do. I actually like the commandlet quite a bit. Keep in mind that this commandlet is similar to the new I can't say it, admin audit log search. The reason it's similar is that it does pretty much the same stuff, except you can also send it to a, oh, and I'm scrolling through it. Oh, there it was. Mail recipients. So you can send it to mail recipients. Yeah, so you just email it basically to somebody. But I really like the search admin log. Now, let me show you, since I've got some stuff already logged in here, let's go see what I got logged. One of the cool things about this is I'm going to do search, and I'm going to pipe it to select object, and I'm going to select some properties here. And the properties that I like to pull out are usually things like run date, and you know, if you don't know what property you want, pipe it to get member, and you can see the property list, the caller, the person who is doing it, and what object is modified, and the commandlet that was used. So let's do commandlet name. Believe it or not, I do have these properties on my brain because so here's kind of a nice list. Now I know you can't read everything because of my screen resolution, all that. Put it into a nice little table because it fit for me. You know, this is nice to be in a cute table, but if you want to be able to read it on the fly, you could always pipe this to format list and have it run. So here's some real usable data. You know, real quick. You know, it gives you your run date, and as you scroll up, it's already sorted them. So that the latest is at the top of the report, and you can see who did what got modified, and what commandlet they ran. Now you can also here's commandlet name, but you could throw in the commandlet parameters, that kind of stuff as well to see what the parameters are. Nice report, but you know what? I like a slightly better report. So let me show you. I think this is cool. So I'm going to take that same command, only I'm going to add something to it. And this property is a property that has a bunch of information in it. So you use, on select object, you need to use expand property, or excuse me, yep, expand property. And what it'll do is I'm going to call up the modified properties. And so what this is this is if you turned on the verbose logging, this is where it'll give you the good information that you wanted to know so about if you had it. So not everything I had in here had the verbose logging when I had it turned on, but some things do. So take a look here. Because I just turned it on recently. So you can see, let's see what got modified here. There was an update role group member. Oh, what are the new values? Oh, you can see that these people got added to the help desk group. Oh, yes. And now, I probably in here could put in the parameters so you can see the parameters that were used as well. New value is administrator, and oh, that sneaky Don Jones is now in charge of my Exchange environment. So you can see here's where set admin audit logging capture details enabled. That's the old value was true, false. That's where I was playing with the auditing a little bit before I started the video. So you can see, oh, there's where he's making some changes. It's pretty cool what you can pull out of this with fancy little PowerShell. And the beauty to this, again, the nice report is I can just, you know, convert this to HTML. Yeah, that'll be great. Now, of course, if I hit enter here, it's just going to scream all over my screen. Send this out file. Now, I'm not doing anything to clean this report up, so it's not going to be all that beautiful. And I'm just going to call it audit.htm. And if I, you know, let's do this, audit HTM. There's my, like I said, I didn't do anything to clean this up. And you can all, you know, you can make it look beautiful, put your own style sheet on it, all that kind of stuff, create a real beautiful, easy to read report. But I just wanted to see, this is why I like to use PowerShell. It just gives me more flexibility and features. So let's go ahead and clear this screen. And so that's working with the administrative audit log. All of the settings that you can change. Oh, wait a minute. I got to show you something. I love this. Oh, let me clear the screen. Right. Admin. You think admin audit log comment. Oh, not confirm. Comment. This is when I changed that thing. There you go. I just wrote into the audit log. See, this is why I like to use it in any scripts that I'm using, something like that, because now that got recorded, and I can have that shoot out in a report as well. So, you know, if I'm making a change, it's auto documentation. And I love having this in a script. That way I know when the script ran, what it was doing when it ran. So I put all kinds of information in there. Might as well use that audit log thingy because it's so great for troubleshooting and compliancy. Okay, there's one other thing that we can do with audit logging. Let me clear the screen here, and we'll talk about mailbox audit logs. So mailbox audit logging is when a user is having a problem with their mailbox. And it could be something like, mail items keep, getting deleted from my mailbox. Before you, think that they're crazy or something like that, there might be something to that. Maybe there's, doubtful in your environment, but maybe there's a virus or something, or maybe somebody's been delegated permissions and have been actually deleting things out of their mailbox, making mistakes or something like that. Also, sometimes it's useful to know if, a mailbox has been audited. I shouldn't say audited. If a discovery search has been done to it, if there's been any export requests, sometimes you want to know that. Now, we haven't done the e-discovery and the export from it yet. We will soon. But you might want to audit that on particular users' accounts. In other words, hey, is the CEO, is his mailbox getting exported? You might want to know that. So you can turn on auditing for a mailbox. Now, the auditing for a mailbox is actually stored inside the mailbox. So if the mailbox gets moved, the auditing goes with it. Yay! Now you can't see this in Outlook or OWA. You can only see it with the commandlets or the graphical reports, but it's actually stored in this audit subfolder in recoverable items. So it means that if the mailbox gets moved, which happens quite a bit on a lot of environments, the audit logging goes through it. So how do you do this? Well, let's, first of all, I have to be able to type. Okay, I can type again. Yay! So all you have to do is turn it on. So this is actually not too bad. So let me just kind of get mailbox, and let's do identity Bob Smith. I pick on Bob a lot, but I like to pick them up. So I'm going to pipe this to FL star so we can see all the property information about it. And, oh, you know what? I forgot where that's going to be listed here. It's going to be listed up here. Let's see here. It should be audit enable. Where? Let's see here. Let's go up in the list. If you see it before I do, say something. Do you see it? Audit owner. No. Audit admin. Ah, there it is. There it is. There it is. Do you see it? Audit enabled false. What I want to do is I want to change that. Now you can do this for a large quantity of users. That's the reason why I showed you get mailbox. So you can do this with get mailbox and then pipe it to set mailbox. However, I'm just going to do it for one user right now. So I'm just going to do it as set mailbox. And identity is going to be Bob Smith. And what I want to change for Bob is the audit enable. Audit enabled. And I want to set that to true. Oops, wait a minute. What am I doing? I wasn't even paying attention to what I was typing in. Set mailbox, issue warning quota, Bob S. Oh, see, you got to yell louder when I do that. I wanted identity. Oh, mailbox. I was so close. It's just I was busier watching my fingers than I was watching the screen. So I've now turned on. Yay! I turned it on. Groovy. You know, that literally, that's all there is to it. That's all there is to it. That's kind of cool, huh? Now, when you want to find something, and obviously right now mine's not going to have anything in there for Bob S., but when you want to find something, let me go ahead and clear the screen. You just go ahead and use search admin audit log, and it has, it has, wait a minute, where, search admin audit log, it has, oh. Well, I thought it had. No, it does. Here, let's take a look. Get help, search, admin, audit log. Let's just take a look here real quick. I forgot what the parameter was. Take a look here. Commandlets, indent, external access, identity. That's what I wanted, identity. So search, admin, audit login, identity. Well, for some reason, he's not auto-completing that for me, and that's upsetting me at the moment. Why are you not auto-completing that for me? Oh, I'm going to do... That's why it's not working. Do you see what I'm doing? I'm doing search admin audit log. That's not the commandlet for this one. It's search mailbox. That's why it's called a mailbox audit log. So this is an important point because you know, what's funny is that I can't tell you how many times I've done this where I'm so used to typing search-admin and then hitting the tab key. When you want to look at a user's mailbox audit log, it's called search mailbox audit log. And so if you were to do a get help on, you know, star audit star, you would see all of these commandlets listed for you. This is the one that has, oh, there it goes, it snaps into place, identity. And again, this commandlet is very full featured, so you can specify end date, start date, all kinds of stuff that is really nice with this. Obviously when I run this, there's not going to be anything for Bob's because I just turned it on and I don't think Bob has done anything with his mailbox, but you can see that you can do the mailbox auditing as well as the admin auditing too. So I got to ask, what do you think of the auditing? Pretty cool, huh? Not only for compliancy, right? I mean, and that's one of the things, you know, planning for your auditing, you may have some pretty strict compliancy reasons for this. I mean, we're auditing the administrators for a reason, rogue admins, that kind of stuff. So not only for compliancy, which once again, I'm not going to be able to spell. Well, whatever I spell it as, you get the idea. Compliancy. The other thing is this, is it's all about that. I love it for the troubleshooting. So don't turn it off now that you know how. Don't turn it off. Troubleshooting is great. And in planning for this, think about how long do you want the admin log to go. I know a lot of folks that like to actually have it run 2 years. Now, when you change that, you have to do it in days. So however many days 2 years is. But 2 years, you know, 90 days to me, well, I don't like it rolling over that quick if we don't get a printout of it or something like that. So 2 years is pretty good. I like that. And so planning for your audit logging, you want to have it enabled. You definitely, you might want to change the duration that it's getting logged. And by default, it's logging all the commandlets except for get, search, and test. I like to turn on test. And I also like to turn on the verbose logging so that I get the properties that got changed as well. So the administrator audit logging, pretty cool stuff. I think it's really helpful, very advantageous, great for troubleshooting and compliancy. Mailbox auditing is great for compliancy and troubleshooting too. Helping out a user that may be having a problem with their mailbox, turn the auditing on and then check the log. I mean, that might tell you exactly what's happening, especially on a tricky problem. The other thing is that this audits what administrators might be doing. In other words, if they're exporting that mailbox. So there are some sensitive mailboxes that if you turn the auditing on, you'd be able to watch this with. So I really like it. You know what? I just love auditing. I can talk about it all day long, so I better shut up while I can. Well, I got to tell you, I hope this video has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.